Tell me who you were.
I went with Wang.
Why? Welcome to the show, Mitch from Born Ruffians, but more importantly, the captain of my video game hockey team.
Mitch is the captain?
Yeah, he's got the C.
Whoa! You surprised by that? What is that?
No, I'm not surprised.
This guy.
That's a big burden to hold.
Here, wait. Can I? Sorry, I know we just did a big intro, and we can keep this in. I don't care. Does this help at all?
Is it a webcam?
Maybe.
Ring light.
Whoa. Maybe that's a little bit better.
Speaking of hockey, I actually have to bring something up with Mitch because it's been bothering me for so long. We're in the same fantasy hockey league, and you beat me by 4 points in the week that we went head to head, and it kills me, and I can't forget about it because the Sunday, the final day of our fantasy week, I forgot to update my lineup, and I forgot to put the 2 players in, and they got 10 points, and you beat me by 4 points.
Well, you know, a good coach of a good team, good general manager is going to get that done. And I guess we just found out who the better man was.
You also just found out why he's the captain of my team.
He doesn't mess that stuff up.
He takes no days off.
do you guys find in our fantasy league that if you auto update your lineup, like you say, start my active players for the entire week, that it doesn't work sometimes?
Can't trust it.
Because that's what I did that, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, I'm going through every day. Like, I'll go through at the start of the week and set everybody, and then know that something might happen halfway through, and I'm too paranoid. Although I've had it where I've looked at my lineup and been like, I thought I started that guy, and the same kind of thing happened. I'm like, oh great, I started my goalie who lost me 10 points. That was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been able to forgive myself since then. What
about last week when somebody else in the Zoom call beat you?
That was a really hard one.
I guess that was me.
Because what happened? How did you beat me that week? Because I thought I had that in the bag too.
I was riding the waiver wire so fucking hard. I was picking up people just to play more games than you. And Timo Meyer, have yourself a night.
I didn't even know you could do that. So I got out GM'd. I got out GM'd by both you guys.
Hey, you brought it up, man. This is your fault.
Yeah. Well, what do you do?
So Mitch was just saying that this is, I guess, the second Zoom call that he's had in the new crib, but you just moved to the Hammer.
Yes. Yeah. Hamilton now. Very excited. Luke lives here now too, actually. So we're really excited I thought it'd be kind of cool if we took up we started championing Hamilton as we're the kind of band from. Is there any other bands that are kind of
I can't think of a single Canadian band.
It's just from Hamilton. It is very funny that we're both here now. I was thinking earlier today, because it's been around the year since we last played a show in front of people, and so I was in Toronto, and it was with Matt Good, and yeah.
What happened there, by the way?
I honestly
we don't have to bring that up.
Story. No, I don't know. I just anyway. So we played that show, and there was going to be another one in Hamilton. So, but because it all happened the day everything shut down, it was we'll push that one back. That'll get pushed back. We'll do it eventually. And now it's just not happening. But I was thinking oh, how crazy would it be if our last show we played was in Toronto, and then next show we played is in Hamilton. We just had 2 hometown shows as Hamilton's own Born Ruffians.
Oh my God. I need the t-shirts.
Yeah,
you guys. We're gonna get right on that logo.
How did you end up in Hamilton?
So my partner got a job at McMaster here, and it kind of happened really fast. Actually, we started looking after she got the job, but it was in February, I think, and it happened super fast. I was just found a place. Oh, we're going, and it's a really weird way to up and leave somewhere you've been for 15 years. I think that's how long I've been in Toronto, which is wild. But also I was thinking how weirdly ideal it was where it didn't feel for the last year I was living in Toronto. I'm sure you guys feel the same way, where it's it's been really difficult to obviously be anywhere besides your own place. And Toronto is less exciting when you were just living in like looking at the same four walls every day. And so instead of like kind of being like, oh, we're going to move somewhere when you're still living your day-to-day life normally, it was kind of like, it felt, it was a little easier to kind of like let go of somewhere that's obviously very special and will totally still miss and go back to once.
Saddest part of the whole thing, we can't play outdoor hockey anymore in the afternoon.
I know. I really miss that. Yeah. That was so much fun.
We were a solid little threesome out in Dufferin Grove for quite some time.
Yeah.
Carlin, really good. Mitch, much better than
really
me.
Good.
Brent, just happy to be there.
I think they're getting rid of Dufferin Grove Rink too eventually too. Or they're updating it. They're updating it somehow. There's a big thing in the news how they didn't want to update it this year because people needed the community rink during winter times and COVID. But I think they're gonna tear it down and redo it.
I like how shitty the Dufferin rink is.
Same.
Other than the fact that like you can take a header going into the boards because it's so fucked up around the edges.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of like going there, smelling a pizza bun I'll never get from the Zamboni Cafe.
They have that weird farmer's market on Thursdays.
You're trying to tie your skates while
it's
selling organic vegetables beside you.
I've never felt like it is like a incredible like community area because you feel it the second you show up there. You're just like, oh, everybody's family is here and they're all selling goods and wares. What's going on?
It's like a small town in there.
We went there once on a PA day. I think all three of us, and Carlin and I are sitting there. Mitch went out in the rink already, just getting some warm-up laps in.
Yeah, just taking some reps.
And two kids come up to Carlin and I, and I'm like, hey, do you mind tying our skates?
Oh yeah.
And then they're like the parent that was looking after him. It was just like maybe a single mom or something like that. And she was like, I can't get them tight enough. And I was like, fucked if I can too. I'm weak as shit.
I remember that differently because I remember these two little kids coming up to us and asking to tie our skates. And then after I did it, I realized it was the parent was sitting right next, and she just didn't want to tie the kids' skates.
Is that
so she conned us into doing it? Yeah,
well, because
I don't mind doing.
She said, "I don't get them tight enough to me. Thank you." But she said it after I had tied them.
Yeah, but I don't mind tying.
The job was done at that point.
Yeah. I was like, this is your mom?
You're the whole time scrolling on her phone?
She was.
Oh, you know her. Oh, okay.
This is all just a long-winded way of saying that Carlin and I are for the people, for the gym.
Oh man, see, I'm glad that you guys have a great like positive story about going there and tying kids' skates and stuff. See, my personal experience with going to Dufferin Grove and skating with you guys is playing a little shinny and me shooting the puck off the youngest kid's shin. And him going down like a sack of bricks, because that was my most alarming experience.
I do remember that. That's one of those situations where you can't say sorry enough to.
It was, oh my God, it hurts me to think about because I was just obviously, because I'm just like, how stupid does this sound? Like, just trying to make a play out there, just trying to get the puck. The kid's 8 or something, and I just rip it off. And it's so clearly like, you know, the sound a puck makes when it hits just like essentially like a bare leg.
Yeah.
And the kid's just like immediately down. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Does that matter? I'm an adult. You're a child. I still hurt you. Oh God. Oh God. And the kid was just like crying. I'm fine.
And to the bench.
And just like totally like grinned and bared it. I was just like, oh boy, like tough kid out there. Way to go.
It was like a guardian. It wasn't his parents that brought him too. It was like his uncle or his friend or something, right? Like
and he couldn't be less concerned. I was like, oh man,
whatever.
Yeah, because he was like Declan or whoever. And I just was like, oh yeah, tough kid. Like really sorry. Like I really didn't mean to do that. And he's just like, yeah, he's tough. Anyway, and then just kind of like as if the kid wasn't just like on the ice, essentially like being stretchered off with a thumbs up. Like, oh man, I felt so embarrassed.
You do that thing where like shooting at me.
Yeah, you can hurt me. Does that make it better? I think I did say something like that. I really think I said something like that. Oh God. Yeah, I miss that already. I miss that horrible story.
Well, it sucks we haven't been able to play hockey at all.
Yeah.
A whole year. Probably the first year of my life I've not played hockey at all. during the winter.
Excuse me while I.
Oh no, I did actually. I went out to Port Perry and did it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I've just skated. It was once at Dufferin Grove. You had to like book a time, and we kind of went just to do like some laps around and feel like you could, accomplish something outside for a little bit, which was really fun. But no, I haven't actually shot a puck around or anything. One of these days next year.
Yeah.
I find that skating without a stick and a puck is fucking not for me.
Not
boring.
It's like walking. It's like walking in a circle.
Exactly. And the only fucking reason I'm willing to go outside in the winter is to play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hate Canada. It's so cold.
So cold for my weak little bones. I can barely tie skates.
My hands are too cold and it hurts when I go tight.
It does hurt.
Oh my God. So yeah, I remember a couple of years ago, a girl was like, we should go skating at the Bentway. And I was like, no offense, that sounds fucking awful.
That's one of the fun ones, if I'm being honest, though.
Yeah?
Because it's not just like a rink where you're doing laps and you just essentially get dizzy and trying not to fall down in front of everybody. But the Bentway's like, it's like a path. There's like, I don't know, music. It's fun. They did a good job.
Yeah, it's
shout out to the Bentway.
For me, it's still only fun for 5 minutes because you're like, oh, it's a path, and then you go around 3 times, and you're like, it's just a figure 8.
Okay, it's not quite as exciting. It's not like you're skating down the canal or something.
It's a hockey rink with 2 islands in the middle of it instead of open ice.
Carlin Berg is spitting facts right now.
It thrills me. I'm thrilled. Happy Shandy, by the way.
Oh, I should have used my Shandy mug as well.
How are you liking Hamilton, by the way? You obviously haven't been there long.
Yeah, it's good. We're really excited about the place because we lived in the same apartment for a long time, and it was quite small and felt smaller during COVID. But like, it's cool. We're in a cool area, I'm told. I don't know like a whole lot about Hamilton. Essentially, my knowledge of Hamilton extends to playing the Casbah 54 times over the course of our career. So I know that one very specific stretch of King Street or whatever, but more than that, like it's I don't know, it's great. Like having a place, we have a little yard, which is something we very much didn't have in our apartment.
Wild.
We live on the ground now. Very cool. But yeah, so for our dog Charlie, like being able to just let him out and not have to like put on a mask, get in the elevator, hope that no one comes in the elevator, don't want to see anybody, go down the elevator, leave, go through the common areas of the building, finally you're outside, versus just being like, go out the door is incredible. So we're very grateful for that. And I think like once things return to normal and stuff, getting to check out Hamilton and get to know it is on the top of our list. So very excited to be Hamilton's own Born Ruffians.
Oski wee wee, am I right, guys?
Right? See, I don't get it. What is
That's a big Hamilton joke for anyone who doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I'm a fraud. Okay.
If you're loving it, if you love that, you live in Hamilton for sure.
Yeah, you have to be a CFL fan now.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna take up definitely. I'm going to every Ticats game, and also start to care about football in general, as if I was like ever at an Argo game. Actually, I was at one, but still.
It is hilarious how, because I've lived in Edmonton my whole life, and the Eskimos are a big deal there. But it's hilarious how in Toronto, like I don't know anyone who even follows the Argos. Obviously, there are people. I've gone to Argos games, and there's lots of people there. But I just don't. I don't know anyone who really follows along with the Argos.
I mean, I agree totally, because I think a lot of like football fans in Toronto are like, I'm a Bills fan, or I'm gonna go watch the NFL more so. And I think it's just like competition for people watching sports in Toronto, where we're kind of spoiled with every team in every major league. Like,
well, yeah, that's exactly it. In Edmonton, all you have for professional sports are the Oilers, and even when you go to Saskatchewan, they have nothing. All they have is the Rough Riders, and they're diehard Rough Riders fans.
You would latch on to it if it's all you have.
Yeah, you go to an Eskimos game when they're playing the Rough Riders, and there's more Rough Riders fans than there are Eskimo fans there. In my experience, at least.
Not only, like you said, do you have the amount of other professional sports in Toronto, like when you are playing or when the Argos are playing their season, you're competing with fucking Molson Amphitheater in outdoor concerts all summer long.
Yeah.
You're not going to win that. You're not. I was at an Argos game and I was like, Hall & Oates are playing. I'm going to go scalp a ticket.
that tailgating thing that they started to do is fun, though.
Yeah, it was a really good idea. But it's also like, the shitty thing is, okay, so, and to the one Argos fan who happens to also listen to this podcast, no offense.
Oh, good Lord.
But no one in Toronto gives a fuck about the Argos. Everyone that is going to those games is coming from out of the city.
Yeah, I kind of found that too. Just talking to people at the tailgate party, they were all from somewhere.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, and God bless them, keeping the Argos boat rowing in the water. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I feel like the tailgate can't be. I mean, tailgating in the States is fucking awesome.
I bet. Like I would love to be able to go to any kind of. That's my dream on tour is whenever we're like is to find some kind of like major sports event to be able to go to and just whether it's like football, anything. But football in the States is it's so different. And I think that's where it's just like in Canada and in Toronto, you're just not going to get like the same feeling or the same excitement. Because even when like there's like the Leafs obviously dominate in Toronto. So even when the Raptors who took over the city and it was crazy, even there's still like, what's the word? I want to use the wrong word here. They still feel like they're second in line in terms of like attention in terms of, sports media and stuff. And that's the fucking Raptors who won a championship.
Yeah.
Imagine what the Argos feel like. Like that's gotta feel crazy. Like you would feel like you're just fighting for the smallest sliver of the like sports media pie that you're not gonna get.
I saw the Argos introduce that they signed a new player the other day. It was a little banner in front of a brick wall at what I think was like a public school.
Oh.
They couldn't even get like one of the digital media backgrounds with like the logo everywhere. It was like,
do you have someone who can draw this player?
It was like a skit.
Damn.
It is like recorded on someone's flip phone. Like, fuck. It must be frustrating because that is a professional league. Maybe when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and the XFL really get in there.
It's gonna change things with his Canadian roots.
When you were just talking about it for a second, when you're on tour with Born Ruffians, the band that Mitch is in, we'll talk more about music obviously in a second. But when you're on tour, are you actively looking for like those events to find, and like have you found any like a game? I know you guys are super into wrestling, that sort of shit.
Man, like, yeah, we've been fortunate with weirdly more so with wrestling than anything. I don't know how it's worked out that way. It's like some kind of like follows us around or something. But like on tour, like you always have like a handful of days off, and before we go, we're always trying to like look down the schedule and be like, okay, we have like a day off here where we don't have to drive 10 hours. Like we can do something. Like what can we do there instead of just like what we always do? And so I always try and look for something. And on my list, I look at the Leaf schedule the second it's released and be like, any tour days line up? Like, no, fuck. But we've gone to, man, this is unfortunate. But we went to a Sabres Islanders game in 2016, 2015 or 2016, when both teams were very bad. The only, I think it was the year Eichel was drafted. The year they tanked to try and get McDavid and failed. And so he was the only player on the ice that was worth watching. And the Sabres lost 2-1 or something. And Tavares was still on the Islanders and he was hurt.
Oh.
So it was just like
just a boring hockey
one of the
game.
most boring games I've been to. And I felt bad because like when you go, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited to like cheer. And we're at the Barclays Center watching the Islanders. Or no, I think Buffalo won. It was because it was a bummer because we saw like no home goals basically. Like, sitting as far up in the Barclays Center as you could.
Two rats fighting over a dead pigeon.
It was so, and I took like, it was the entire touring party, many of which are like not super psyched about hockey. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome. Like imagining in my head, like the fun memories I'd have at Air Canada Center and stuff. Just like, this is gonna be so fun. Get there just like, sorry everyone, give me your money for buying the tickets for everybody. Fuck, sorry.
How many people do you guys tour with?
Well, that tour we were on tour with Young Rival, and we shared a van. So it was like it was 9 of us in one van.
Holy
and
fuck.
I think we all except maybe 2 of us went. So it might have been like 7 or 8 of us or something. But so normally that's like a larger touring party than normal. But I was just like, I have a great idea for a night off in Brooklyn, and that was it.
9 people in a van, though. Do you get annoyed of when you're touring with that many people? Do you get annoyed of if someone's talking? Because I live with my girlfriend, and I love living with my girlfriend, but it can get tight in our condo.
You don't want to go on tour with Danny?
And it's one other person. I can't imagine touring in a van with 9 strangers. I get annoyed of people's smells. I get annoyed of the way that they breathe.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's weird. That one I always will look like back on fondly, and every tour is kind of like that. Like whether it's like 9 people or just 4 of us, sometimes you're in close space at all times. But I don't know if it's just because we've like done it for so long and kind of like literally 15 years. Is that what I said? It's a stupid number. Where this is what we've done like for that long, and you just are weirdly so used to it that there's no surprises anymore about like or what you can be annoyed by. So even if you are like annoyed by something, everybody is aware that annoys you and you're annoyed by it or whatever. And you're just like, I don't know. I think we've just taken it. We're so much more grateful for it now, and like how great the tours have been lately. Those are the like weirdly best parts of tour, is like being crammed in the van with everybody. And
yeah,
I think it's what I miss the most. It's like the stupid inside jokes or the way your brain's just like kind of rot and turn to mush on a 12-hour drive after being up for, the last 3 days. I don't know. I think that's the kind of stuff that makes it great. And I don't know, maybe we're just lucky, because I know there's other bands that are out there that it's not like that from speaking to other bands, where it's like, no, like we just kind of like everyone gets in the van and it's like you're on a flight essentially, where everyone's doing their own thing, but we just like to have activities.
It probably helps that you are in a band with your cousin, because you probably have the type of relationship with Luke where if he's annoying you, you can say that he's annoying you, where if it's a friend, oftentimes you can't say that they're annoying you.
Yeah.
But that being said, in a band, you're probably so close to each other that you have that relationship even if you're not related.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it too. Like we've like with Steve, like we're not, well, okay, this is a very Midland type thing to say, but we're not related, but I think we're related.
You might
think about that for a second. What the heck? But no, I remember actually when we first started our band, like I think on Steve's dad's side, going far enough back, there is some kind of connection with our families, which is very strange. But we didn't grow up related. Like it was not like we saw each other at family reunions or anything. But for having been friends since high school, and we're the kind of friends that you stay friends after high school. If that makes sense. To have been doing it for this long, yeah, it is like a family, which is really great. That you can kind of, but it doesn't even really happen like that too much anymore. Like it happened like that more when we were younger, when we didn't understand how to be fucking grown-ups out on the road. Like we would get on each other's nerves and stuff. Like Steve left the band twice, so
yeah,
there's things that obviously it wasn't like sunshine and rainbows the whole time, but it's almost as if we've worked all that shit out. Like it's all come and gone by now.
What's the thing that you would do that would annoy your bandmates?
Good question. Oh man, I think everyone just likes me. So
of course.
No, I'm sure there is stuff. I think sometimes this is a tough one. Because I haven't had, it is like, truthfully, I don't feel like we've had to think about it too much in the last while, like because touring has been really great for us in terms of just how like we feel on the road. Like we all just really look forward to being together and playing and touring now.
Have you guys ever had a really big blowout over something stupid?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. I feel like I like threw a coffee cup at Steve once. Not a coffee cup, like a Tim Hortons thing that he wanted thrown out or something, and I was just like, and just whatever day, like we were like 8 hours into a drive, I just like had a moment where I snapped and I was like, what the fuck was that? And couldn't figure out what that was. Oh man, there's definitely some other good ones. One of my favorites, and Luke will, I hope, laugh at this, but early on in our tours where we were just kind of like playing so much, like we were on the road like the whole year, and we were still again like learning the like importance of being on time or getting to the venue when you're supposed to. And we had been in such a rush over the last like however many days. I remember we had to stop somewhere on the road to get something to eat, get back in the van, and keep driving because we're gonna be late. And we all got back in the van, but Luke stayed in the like whatever it was, like a Subway or something. And we could see him in the window just eating a sandwich. And we were just like looking at him like, is he coming? And he's just like, just kind of like one of these, just like, and we were just like, what's going on? We have to go. And at the time it was just like, what the fuck is this? And now it's one of the funniest things I can think of. Just Luke just being like, actually, I'm just going to sit here and eat. I don't want to eat in the van anymore. Fuck you guys. Like,
was he being passive aggressive? Like he knew what he was doing?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. In the way that it was like right now, like in the moment, it was just like we all just need to get up and go. And now thinking back, it is pretty funny for someone to be like, I am tired of eating on my lap, smushed in a van, things I don't want to eat. You know, driving to a show where I probably don't feel like playing tonight because we just played to 10 people in Omaha or whatever. And just being like, actually, I'm just going to finish my shitty sub right here. Thanks very much. And
there's one thing I can control. It's me where I eat this sub right now.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. So yeah, obviously it's all good now, but that was, oh boy, pretty funny. As
a band, do you guys have shows like the 10-person Omaha show where you look back on it and it makes you cringe, like it was maybe you didn't perform well? Because I know, like, being in radio, we definitely have shows or even breaks individually where we look back or even listen back and we're like, I can't believe I did that, and I feel embarrassed about it and I want to go back.
Turning off the microphone and instantly saying, fuck!
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I think those types of moments you're describing happen more in front of like bigger crowds. Like the shows you play where there's nobody there, like it feels so much, to me at least, that like, oh, nothing matters. Like we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
You can personally make a joke to this person standing in front of you. You can hop off stage and just be like, hello, during the show if you want. We played, like, I remember on our last European tour, which is a couple of years ago now because of everything, our first show was, so we booked this tour. And they're always kind of centered around a couple key dates where it's like, we're not going to have a good show in Berlin. We're going to have a good show in London, Paris, like there's big cities, but they're always trying to make it be like, this is probably should be 2 weeks or else we're just flying there and flying back. Like, that's not going to work. Like, we got to make this happen. So we had like 2 weeks of shows with no days off. And so I looked at the schedule and I was like, really, like 6 shows in Germany, eh? I don't know how this is going to go.
A lot of German Born Ruffian fans, I guess.
Yeah. We always end up playing there a lot. And it's always great because they treat you like kings, even if you have a show like the one I'm about to describe, where we get there and all these venues are always these like amazing old buildings. And this one's huge and it feels like a big bunker. And you kind of go in and this hilarious German promoter, this older guy, comes in. He's just like, hello, you're the band. I can't do it. I'm not going to do the accent.
Oh, keep going.
Because I just realized I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, let me show you the room you'll be playing tonight. And he walks us to this room and we're just like, oh, and this is in like small town. There's a town called Aachen. Check out that accent. And it's very small. Like we never played there before. And he's like, this is the room. And we walk in, we're just like, oh, and it's a huge room. Like this, we wouldn't play this room in Toronto. And we're just like, huh. And he's just like, may I suggest this room? And then walked us to a small like bar within the club. And we're like, ah, okay. He's like, ha, ha, ha. Like as if to be like, no one's coming tonight. You're going to play in here. And sorry, I guess is how we were supposed to feel.
Did it go from like a beer hall kind of stage to like an open mic type thing?
It would have not, well, Kind of, maybe even smaller. Like the big room was like, imagine the Phoenix, but as a like underground rave club in the Matrix kind of thing. Okay. That's what it looked like. And then the small room was literally like a basement, enough room for like, it was kind of like playing this kitchen actually. No, think about it. It was pretty small. It was very small. And it was fun. There was like, we could count the people. I think there's 11 people there, but we had a really fun show. Cause I think we were just like psyched to be in Germany playing it all. But I forgot the point of this story. Why did I answer this? The small shows, right? It was a great show. The end.
It was one of the good ones.
Yeah.
We should mention before we continue with just like the other dumb shit that I know that we're gonna keep chatting about, that you guys have a new record coming out in April. You want to give us the deets? You want to hit your pitch?
Right. Yeah. Sorry, I forget that there's a point to this besides just hanging out with my friends.
Hey man, all good. We like the dumb story.
Yeah. So we're putting out our third record in almost a year, just a little over a year. It's called Pulp. It's out April 16th via Wavy Haze Records and Yep Rock Records internationally. It's been kind of a crazy year. Like the plan before we started having to quarantine or self-isolate, the words. Our plan was to release these 3 records, and we had them all in the finished. And then COVID hit, and it was just like, oh, we won't be able to tour this at all. This is kind of unfortunate, but also very fortunate that we still had a lot of music to share and put out, and have like, if we didn't have anything to do right now, like if our only thing to do was to stay at home and wait until we can get together and write music or tour, holy shit, that would be awful. So I'm super grateful that we had all this music ready to go. And Pulp is like the last piece to a trilogy that has been planned since a year and a half, 2 years now, more than that. I don't know. So I'm pretty psyched for it.
Yeah, I don't know who your graphic designer is on it, but I love the graphics on Pulp. Like it's just cool.
Yeah. So we had this one woman from she's from Denmark, I think, that Luke found through Instagram. Her name's Ava Kramer. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Because it's someone you interact with only on email. Yeah. But she did all of the the art for the 3 records for Juice, Squeeze, and Pulp. She just does all this awesome kind of like 3D digital graphic design stuff that if you check out her page at Ava Kramer's, EvaCremers, she has a lot of really, really cool stuff. So she did a fantastic job.
I feel like, there's obviously so many bands that are in a similar position to you guys. And you feel for everybody that has had like a big portion of their life taken away. Like you guys are obviously still a band. You didn't lose your job, but you lost why you do your job. Yeah. But specifically for a band that had a plan to release 3 records, to tour internationally for the first time, out of continent, I guess, for the first time in a while.
Yep. Yeah.
And you also started your own record label, Wavy Haze. Like there's not many bands that I feel for harder, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It's a weird one. Like I'll always want to think about it in the positive way, because that's the only way you can, or else you're going to friggin' lose your mind. But we've been able to kind of like still continue to do these kinds of things and like interact with fans about it and stuff. And we didn't get to tour or anything, but could have been a whole lot worse. And a lot of people are obviously affected way worse than our stupid band. But it's when it's all done and we can go out and tour again, we have so much music to play and probably learn, actually, because I don't know if I remember how to play my instrument anymore.
That's the thing. So like I was a part of the one concert that you guys did get to play, like your Shandy thing. And I started thinking about it, happy Shandy, and watching you guys like warm up and shit. I was like, not only do they have to remember how to like have the energy of a show and put that into a camera for people to see, they have 3 fucking new records that would be hard enough to remember or learn adding like a new band member, adding Maddie into the mix, and then songs that are fucking 12 years old. Like it would be impossible. Like to me, it's like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, we had one online show in December celebrating our very real holiday, Shandy Festoon, which I will show to the YouTube viewers. Sorry, listeners on Apple and Spotify, I'm showing a mug right now as the name of
this descriptive video.
Yeah. So we played that, and yeah, we asked Brent to host, and he did a great job for what was like an online. We wanted to make it like a Christmas special. Those are like an Anne Murray Christmas special, or what were some of the other ones? There's so many, like Dean Martin, the Sinatras, that kind of thing, but for our very real holiday. And it was so much fun. It was like incredible to get back and be able to like rehearse and make or like play music again. But it was like a lot of work. We actually came here to Hamilton to rehearse because this is where we performed from, a building we rented here, and learning the new songs again, learning old songs, and having Maddie Wild, who joined the band for this and when we tour again. Essentially, she had to learn so much stuff. And it was a lot of like studying, essentially, like before we played and then practicing. It was a lot, but it was like the best kind, because having not done that in so long, it was like getting back on a bike, a 4-person bike that you're all riding together. Hard, but fun.
With new pieces that you haven't written all at the same time together. But
yeah. And then the bike is cool. I don't know. It's a bad analogy. Okay. I do want to mention, I was really excited to be the first guest of the show, and a little disappointed to see that you just brought in another bass player from another band.
I was actually thinking
we're just
about that today.
Like we're just all the same.
I was thinking about that today.
Frankie plays guitar sometimes.
Yeah, we've only had bass players on here.
That is true.
Well, I mean, the co-host plays a little bass himself, right? So
this is a very bass-centric podcast.
I wonder if there definitely is a podcast that's for bass players and it's only bass player, like a bass player podcast.
Well, I know that for a while, Adam Hindle, he used to drum for our band, and Jake Boyd from Colorado used to have a podcast. I don't know if they still do or not.
Yeah.
Drum and Drummer.
I remember that too, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, this is the bass version of that podcast. But Frankie, I essentially gave the same spiel to Frankie, and in classic Frankie, he felt very bad and was just like, obviously I'm joking. And even though he knows he's joking, or I'm joking, he's just like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Like
genuinely apologetic the entire time. I wrapped up my show the other night, just the same way I always do. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye. And I get a text, Frankie Owens, great show today, buddy. I was like, what a fucking sweetheart this man is.
They don't make them like the Owens anymore. That's for sure.
No,
it's true.
Are you the type of bass or musician, I should say, in general, that you were saying you had to relearn how to play it after a year in the pandemic? Do you put the bass down and don't think about it when you're not performing, or are you playing it every day, or what happens?
For the most part. Well, one of the reasons why was because our gear was stuck in Georgia for over a year.
Your gear?
Yeah, we had. This is a story. I've told Brent this story, I believe, on air before. If you want, so it's not exclusive, but it's. I'll try to make it quick, but it is a fucking crazy story.
It's a good story. Tell the story.
Okay. I'll tell the story. But this is essentially why I hadn't played bass. But anyway, we were on tour in 2019, and we had a stretch of tour where it was going to go from San Francisco, day off, Denver, day off, Nashville, day off, and then Florida's way over here, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So it was covering like the width of the United States in that many days, which is a lot. And
a lot of driving.
And so first of all, it started with our van getting broken into in San Francisco. So we went for breakfast, came back, and our window was smashed. And so we were just like, oh, great. We have a 12-hour drive today. This is going to be tough. got that fixed, started our drive.
So windy.
Yeah, stuff was fucking like Luke's bag was stolen. It was just awful.
That happens so much to bands. Like you always hear of bands getting their vans broken into.
We like, this is our joke, is that we've been so fortunate with our luck as a band. Like we've had maybe 1 break-in, 2 break-ins. Okay. And we consider ourselves fortunate.
Lucky. Yeah. So that's how much this shit actually happens to people.
And so this whole stretch of trip, we're like, oh, this is everything coming back to get us now. Like this is karma coming all the way around. And so the van was broken into, shit was stolen. We get it fixed. We get on the road. We do these shows and we're like nearing the end. We just have to drive from Nashville. We have a day off, and then Florida. So we drove from Nashville as far as we could, and we make it to somewhere in Georgia. And then on our day off day, we were driving, trying to make it as close as we can to Florida. And at night, we're going down the whatever it is, 5 lanes of like flying traffic, and the loudest, like it sounds like a cannon goes off in the van. Like all of us are just like, what the fuck? And it's like, we've either run over something's happened to the van. And so we immediately have to pull over, and Steve's just like, oh, I have no brakes. Like I can't stop.
Oh,
so
God.
The brakes have been cut, and we're on the fucking highway. And thankfully, Steve and Roger, who tours with us, are able to like navigate the van to the side of the road safely. So no one is hurt, but the van is obviously in trouble. Like looks like, when you're playing a video game and you've almost killed the boss and he's kind of flashing red, and it looks like he's like jittery, kind of like, it's like that. The van is like, oh no, it's going to die. And so we're like, well, this is fucked. Something has happened. Like the van is leaking something. Obviously we had no brakes, and we have to find a tow truck in Georgia at night.
Middle of the highway.
Yeah. And so we're looking around trying to call people, trying to find stuff, and we eventually get one. It takes like, I want to say like at least an hour and a half to finally get a guy there. And so we have the tow truck pull up. He comes in, takes a look at it, goes back to his truck, comes back, and he goes, well, I locked my keys in my truck.
The tow truck driver did?
Yes. So we're like, oh,
I forgot.
But
they're the people you call to get your keys out of a car.
Yeah. And he's like, I have the toolkit you need to unlock a door that's locked. It's in my truck too. He's saying this all the way with the thickest, like, good old boy Georgia accent you've ever. Like, he's a caricature of.
My done key unstuck or got stuck inside the van.
Yes. And we were like, there's no way that person exists. Like, he was showing us. Okay, so we're going a long way around the corner for this whole story. But the point is, it starts raining. So he's like, okay, we'll wait in the van with us. Where he regales us of, he's like, you've pulled his cord and he can't stop talking.
You brought the tow truck driver into your van.
Into the broken van.
It was raining. And so he's just telling us all these crazy stories, like unsolicited, just like letting it go. And one of it is showing us his car, which looks like the Dukes of Hazzard car with the Confederate flag. He's talking about how he's having like a sniper rifle built for him for his birthday, so he can sit on his roof and pick people off when they try to come take his guns. None of this is funny, by the way. It's funny now. Yeah. But like, he's not joking, and I'm not making it up, because it sounds so it is a caricature of what, so
what an American, what you picture an American like.
Yeah. And I obviously feel bad about
white
that
person,
but there's so much more, but he's in, and he says like, well, I'll call Bubba to get Bubba, his boss is actually. So we spend 2 hours, I don't know how long, in the car with this guy, just like all sitting facing the same way, talking about whatever he wants to talk about. And Allie, I feel like I should show you right now. Allie just discreetly tried to get something from the fridge and had to like SEAL Team 6 like crawl in here.
Oh, Allie, you can get into frame. Our viewers aren't going to give a shit if you want a little snack.
Anyway, so wherever I was in the story, eventually the guy comes, unlocks Timmy, which is his towmaster Timmy, out of his truck to help him get us towed the 1 mile we needed to get to a dealership. We broke down that close to a dealership, which is both a blessing and a like hilarious curse. So the saga of the van continues for a year. Like we think, so we're on tour. We need to like get our shit into a new van to be able to continue playing while they fix this one. And we think, well, we're going to Florida. We come back through Georgia. Maybe by then it'll be fixed and we'll be able to drop this one off, pick up our van, carry on home. It'll be perfect. Doop, doop, doop. No, the van just, the drive shaft dropped out, cut the brake lines. And a bunch of other car stuff I don't understand. But we were essentially just like on the highway with no brakes, just like a coffin that fell into the back of a hearse, just like flying down the highway. Like we were just like, oh, okay. That would have killed us. But so we eventually have to finish this tour in this van. Our gear is, we put the gear back in the van after we have to return the rental because we have to fly home. We can't, you know what I mean? Like we have to go back there, return our gear to the van. That is where our gear stayed for almost a whole year while updates about the van kept coming in, why it couldn't be fixed. The dealership changed ownership. The person in charge of our like van that was our project got in a car accident at one point, was thankfully okay, but had to take some time to not be able to work on it. Someone also had to quarantine because their partner had COVID. There's like just like a laundry list of things that were happening that was just like, oh, that's what's going on now. Okay, it makes sense. Just like ticking every box of like, okay,
like a comedy of errors.
Yeah. So long story short, we do have the van back now. It took over a year, and no, I don't play bass at home alone.
Interesting.
That's why.
Fucking crazy though.
I don't know if I might have missed some stuff just because it's one of the craziest things that's happened to us on tour, and it's ongoing. Like the van continues to need repairs. Like we used it for the Shandy show, and since then it's been like Steve's been just back and forth taking it to get fixed. It's just, so
this is a van that you own. It's not even like a rental van that you rented to tour in. Wow.
Yes, it is mother van.
So this thing needs, obviously, that's I guess why you've put so much TLC into this thing at this point. You can't just wash your hands of it, right?
No, we like, because we rented for so long, like because there'd be so many bands. Like every band has a shitty van story, or at least a shitty van story, right? Like I feel like every band we've toured with or played with, either they've been like Colorado, what they did with their van, you know, their whole thing where they just like had scrapped and like blown up into pieces to make into art. Like, that's a van that's been through some shit. I'm sure it gave them a shitload of troubles. So we were always like, oh no, if we rent, like we're smart, and we were, and then it made sense to buy, and then all this happened. We're like,
of course,
I see.
This is why people do it. If we go back to bands getting their vans broken into, why does that happen so much? Are people stalking you guys after the show, or what happens?
I think band vans are just a like, they just are essentially like driving around a thing that's like break into me. Like they just stick out. Like they're always in front of venues. You know, if you're somebody who knows, like the one time we got it stolen, or got the van broken into while we were on tour the second time. First time in Montreal, which is where every band has we had our band broken into. Where? Montreal. Story. We were parked on Saint Laurent playing upstairs at a club during the show on a super busy street in Montreal. Someone drilled the lock out of the van.
Wow.
The front door. So it was like a pro job. Like it wasn't just like someone just like smashing and grabbing.
They Ocean's 11 your van.
Yeah. So they always know that there's going to be like shit in there that's not even, no one's taking amps, no one's taking drums. They're taking like bags, like things that have valuables in them because they know people are traveling with all of their shit. Like their life is in their bag. So I think it just makes sense. It's just like a big target. All band vans look the same too.
Yeah, I got it could be the same people in Montreal too. If it's all happening in one city, it could be a similar type of people.
I wouldn't be surprised. I feel without getting like totally speculative or anything, but I know of like if there's that kind of thing for like bikes in Toronto, where it's like there are people that get together to get sell bike. That's a thing, right? Am I not
Yes, for sure. Kensington Market, man. There's always somebody trying to sell you a bike they stole in Kensington Market.
Yeah. So I think there might be that, maybe not specifically for bands or anything, but like for just like car theft. I don't know. But Montreal, every band is like, oh yeah, that's where. Yeah.
It's the Brent and Carlin podcast job to find who's doing this in Montreal and bring them to fucking justice.
We're gonna break this case wide open.
This is gonna be
That's the point of the podcast. We never figured it out. It never had a point, and now it's to help bands get back their gear and bring the fuckers who did it to justice, and also Pound Town.
I really wish it was happening in Toronto, because it's going to be really difficult to have to travel to Montreal to figure this out. But we'll do it.
We have to learn the language.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love the idea of you guys now being listed in the true crime section of podcasts.
Apple Music, if you're listening, you know where to drop it. Do we have to do a hashtag in order to get put in there? Every week I check the top 100, and every week we're not even fucking close. I guess that's what happens when you get 52 listens.
Hey, we got we should note, while we have a moment and we're on that topic, we cracked 50 subscribers on YouTube.
Hey!
Hell yeah.
I would like to thank the people that we brought in as guests for giving us any sort of clout at all.
Yeah.
All I want is more views than Frankie. That's all I want.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to pump this one way more than Frankie. Can you tell me about, I did some investigative journalism, my Nardwuar research, I call it. Can you tell me about an alter ego you may or may not have named Wang?
Oh my God. Did you, oh man. Did you go to, I don't need to know. I know who you talked to for this one. I have to know who you, right? You talk, it doesn't matter. Okay, fine.
I don't reveal my sources.
Oh boy. Okay. So growing up, Luke, the singer of our band, and is my cousin, and his sister Jess is also my cousin. And we were three peas in a pod. We would hang out all the time. And we decided that we had a club. And we were like, I don't know how young we are, like 5, 6. We're young. And oh yeah, we had to be like that about that age. And we were like, okay, we need code names. We need code names. Okay. And so I remember them too, which is really weird. I don't know if should I reveal them here, or should I just, no, I have to for the sake of the story.
Yes, we need all 3 code names. I need Luke's as well.
I actually don't remember who was which between Luke and Jess. I just remember they had actually kind of cool names. Even to this day, I'd be like, oh, that's a cool code name. I would use that as my like Xbox Live handle. So one was Zabarab. Sounds very alien-like. But you're
that is like,
cool. Oh, cool, pretty cool.
That's from a sci-fi book.
Is it?
No, it sounds like it could be. Yeah.
Like, wow, cool. The other one I think was Bomberack. Also kind of cool. You're like, those sound like knockoff superheroes on like morning cartoons.
Tell me who you were.
I went with Wang.
Why?
Here's why. I have a reason. So, okay. I want to look this up, and maybe I'll try and like send you guys a text after or something. Maybe put up on the screen, because this definitely exists. This is for sure the reason why I did it. There was a Nintendo game. I think it was called Super Dodgeball or something Dodgeball, and is a really fun game.
Dodgeball was sick.
It was at that point.
Yes, very good game.
It's awesome. It's like 3-on-3 dodgeball or whatever, but it's just like a Nintendo game. But I was all about it because I'm a freak, and it's like international. So there's like the USA team, there's the German team, there's the whatever, and one of the teams, I think the Japanese team had a character named Wang. And I thought, cool, having no idea of the connotation that I was also associating with by calling myself Wang. And I was just like, cool names, guys, but check this out. I'm going to be Wang. And I think, so Jess is a little older than us, was kind of like
Zabarack, Bomberack, or whatever, and Wang.
And Wang. Oh, God. Yeah. That's right. You got me, roasted 5-year-old me. Good job, Brent.
I'm just doing my due diligence. I'm doing what what I get paid no money to do on this podcast. And then another thing I wanted to bring up, obviously Born Ruffians, avid wrestling fans. I've been to like multiple shows with you. You're wearing literally a wrestling shirt right now.
Yep.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. John Huber.
Tell me about Pizza Body Slam.
Oh boy, this is like a expose now. I kept that one under wraps for a long time, and I don't know why. It doesn't matter. Why would I think like I would still talk about wrestling in my like band life? I guess I just didn't want to go so far as to be like I have a wrestling blog. Like I don't know if I want to do that.
You have a wrestling blog?
I did. So I haven't.
Okay.
It's been quite a few years now. I still have the Twitter, which I also haven't really used. But I always want to get back into it because I do really like it.
I don't know. Just so people are aware, I don't know anyone who comes close to Mitch's knowledge on wrestling, to the point where like in our hockey league, we're all talking on headsets. Have you seen that? And it's yes before it happens. And not only that, I remember the year, the event, and like what time the finishing fucking move happened.
Yeah.
What is it about wrestling?
I think so. Both Steve and I specifically in the band are very big wrestling fans. And we always make the joke that it hypnotizes you at a young age. And if you aren't like captured by it when you're before you hit a certain age, like there's just a certain amount of it that you either like won't get as much, or you just won't be trapped by it for so long, where it's just like, oh, I'm going to have to like pay attention to this for my whole life now. Great. Like no matter what, like I'm going to be looking it up, or even if I'm not actively watching it, like I'm still interested in it. And it's it was just such a like, as a kid, I don't know what like drew me to it at first, but I remember watching it when I was like really young, and I would always want to watch it. My mom would always be like, hey, don't be like this bad guy. You have to be like the good guy kind of thing. Like there was like some kind of like moral compass about it that my mom wanted to make sure that I understood. And beyond that, like, I don't know, I just kind of kept following it. And it was not a phase that my dad assumed it was, but it just kept staying with me. I don't know. As I grew older, I feel like I understood more what I did like about it. And I think it's because it's this misunderstood art form that is so, like, to the outside eye, so trashy, so, what's the word? Like the opposite of sophisticated, whatever that is. When in fact, it's kind of the opposite. Like I find it so fascinating that it's, and this is the only thing I like about it, but at the crux of it, I think it is a big part of it, is that it's these people who appear to be so like hyper masculine, and it's all so much so aggressive and violent, but it's about two people essentially like dancing and protecting each other. And that's like the main part of it. While acting is almost like a frowned upon word, but portraying what you're doing, that you're working against each other. It's just kind of like a cool mix of a bunch of different like theater, dance, and sport, I guess. That is undeniably like exciting when you see it live. And for some people, it doesn't translate on TV, which makes total sense. But I think if you go to a show, it's just like the most like basic form of entertainment, in my opinion.
I haven't watched, like I did a little bit as a kid when it was on, but when I remember in the summer, it was 1 year, like 10, 12 years ago, before Netflix was a thing or anything. And I remember there was nothing on TV in the summer on Mondays. So I started watching Monday Night Raw just because it was something to watch. And as an adult watching it, I was like, there's like a lot of athleticism that goes into this. It's not just some trashy sport that's a bunch of hillbillies. It's actually
so difficult.
There's some real skill that goes into it, but it never really caught on for me. Like I never really got 100% what it was about wrestling that everyone loved.
I think Mitch raises like the most valid point, where you have this specific age range as a kid, and it either hits you in a way that you're like you said, fuck, this is like something I'm going to enjoy forever, or it's really not your thing. Like I wanted to be a pro wrestler. That's what I told my dad I was going to be. I don't have like the knowledge like Mitch, and I didn't follow it as much as he does now, but like I was like a wrestler I used to dress as Jeff Hardy and go to school. I remember crying at lunch because my friend said I had pantyhose on my arm, but it was just Jeff's cool armband.
Yeah, don't you know what Jeff Hardy looks like? Are you living under a rock? Wow.
It was something like my uncle would tape the pay-per-views because my parents refused to pay for it. He would bring them over on Monday, and I would have to avoid like hearing anything to watch the pay-per-view the next day. There's something about wrestling that was just, I loved it. And like getting to know Mitch over the last few years and getting to go to like more like independent type shows that I've never been to before. Holy fuck, is it wild being that close?
That's the most like, so I feel like to circle it back to my wrestling blog,
Pizza Body.
So Pizza Body Slam, which I started first of all, the name comes from being on tour, and one of our, someone who was tour managing and driving us, this is probably like 2008 or 2009, made fun of me saying like, because after a show, often to this day, it's like, we're going to the hotel, we're going to probably put on some wrestling to laugh at, have a beer, order a pizza and go to sleep or whatever. Like that is a pretty traditional, like Born Ruffians after the show kind of thing. And so I guess I was like excited about that after a show. We get in the van and our driver's just like, oh, it's all the same. It's always just like pizza, body slam. Like that's all you do. Like you're just making fun of like, I'm just in the car after a show, like drunk, just like, I want pizza. I want to watch wrestling, body slam. Woo. And so I was like, oh, that's funny. And then when I started my blog, I was like, oh, that's going to be the name of it. But it kind of like touring with Steve and stuff, and we talk about wrestling all the time because we both had the same kind of like interest in it, and that's when we started also like around 2008 going to like independent shows and getting a feel for like what it's like to be at a show that's not just like a huge arena WWE thing. And yeah, so that is the best. That's something I miss very much for not going out to anywhere for the pandemic and stuff, but when it comes back,
oh man,
we're going.
I can't wait. Nothing like eating a $1 hot dog in an arena that you've only ever been to see your nephew and niece play Timbits hockey in, but you're watching a guy bloodied up like a fucking row in front of you, drinking out of straight up Dixie cups.
Oh,
like
yeah.
There's something, that's wrestling in its purest form. I love it.
It is like, that's, again, not to like drag on talking about wrestling forever, but that is part of what makes wrestling amazing, is that it kind of, once it evolves too far beyond like, it gets too like shiny, pretty, like overproduced and like nice looking, it kind of can lose some of it because it's meant to be a thing. It started and has been for most of time a thing that happens in like at county fairs and like rundown arenas and Legion halls and stuff like that, where you can just like, it's not about the like, ooh, wow side of it. It's more about the like, what can you do with just like two guys punching each other for fun kind of entertainment, which sounds stupid, but I had a point with that. But yeah, going to Ted Reeve and watching wrestling is awesome.
Fuck yeah. Should we end her there?
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Mitch. You got Pulp's out April 16th?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Check it
and
out.
And also,
for sure.
If you're a big Born Ruffians fan, hit up their Patreon, where you can become a Ruffian and get access to exclusive Born Ruffian content no one else can.
That's true. Maybe that's where I'll bring the wrestling blog back for the most devoted 1 to 2 fans who like
There's a crossover. There's a crossover for sure. Yeah. But as a ruffian, a member of the Patreon account, my dad.
I was gonna say, are you sure? Because it showed up as somebody else.
It says Rick Albrecht. He said, "Make me a ruffian," but I use this account because, God forbid, I could give my friend money in a pandemic.
You used your dad's credit card.
He's a ruffian. Like he said, sign me up. It's all under his name.
You were scamming and using Rick's login.
I peeked around a little bit to see what it's like.
Get your own login.
Anyway, I will. I'll become a ruffian today because it's what I'm telling people right now to do. And I should do it myself.
Wow. So you look at that. I'm gonna
the content is awesome. Like I don't know much about Patreon, but as someone who's also just a big fan of Born Ruffians in general, the shit that you get to see is all the best parts of Born Ruffians social media expanded upon, I think.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it, I think, because I also think, like you and like me, I think there is a lot of people who don't fully know what Patreon is or what you kind of like get out of it, and that is a good way to describe it. It's not like we're just like pushing everything to there and not talking to people through how we normally do or anything, but there's just special stuff that we make just for that and things we do just for Patreon that as we've done it, it's been a super fun experience for something that we didn't know a whole lot about. I will say one fan did mention how we are more active than a lot of bands who are on there, which is exciting to me because I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I'm glad we're doing a good job. So not my words, their words. But so if you're interested, join. Brent.
Yeah, I probably should. Hey, Dad, you mind giving me that credit card one more time? All right. Well, thank you so much, Mitch, a.k.a. Wang, for coming on the pod.
Thanks for bringing that one up. My two very cool alter egos. My wrestling one and my little boy doesn't know what another name for a penis is.
Thanks, Wang.
Thanks, Wang.
See you guys.
Bye.